Hi, good to see you today. I'm Julia Clouter, Head of Education at Scanning Pens, and I also do some work with Succeed with Dyslexia in supporting our learners to improve and succeed with dyslexia and to share those success stories. I'm talking to you today about the supports that you're going to be providing this half term for reading support. The spring is always traditionally the time where we have those wonderful campaigns. So I want to think about what support you're providing for reading, what accommodations you routinely make to support reading in school. I want to know if you have that good knowledge of the toolbox approach of strategies that are available to you to support your struggling readers with dyslexia and with learning difficulties, the kind of tools that will help inspire confidence. Now, if you're on the ball with all of this, give yourself a pat on the back. That's fabulous. But through this presentation, I'm going to offer you some strategies for you to identify some low, mid and high-tech strategies that are great solutions with the aim of closing that reading gap. So I think the key to inspiring young people to enjoy their reading and to develop that love of reading is that surest way to close that reading gap. So over the years, we've developed and participated and have lots of approaches to reading support. It includes things like lots of reading campaigns and guided reading time, paired reading. You will know them because you have been doing them in your classrooms if you're a teacher, and if you're a parent at home, you will have been engaged in the business of sitting and reading with young people, trying to stimulate that enjoyment. We have virtual reading now in the new times that we're in. So the business of reading stays central. The love of books is really important. The methodologies are changing all the time, and with the development of technology, we have lots of different ways to approach reading support. Let's just have a think about these events that are planned. World Book Day, if you have been engaging with this before, fabulous. I think there's still lots of opportunities at home to dress up and have yourself online in your Zoom meetings from home to school if you're able to work through those platforms, because we might be remote learning. It doesn't have to stop our enjoyment of World Book Day. There are lots of things going on through the month of March. And I'd also like to just get you focused on Drop Everything and Read, and you'll know that, but you might not know about Drop Everything and Read for Dyslexia, which is a festival of learning coming up on the 29th of March with free CPD resources for schools. So that is something well worth looking at and finding your way to, which you can do by Googling or popping the hashtag in there, so that you can download wonderful fresh supporting materials so that we can keep the energy into supporting reading. So let me find my clicker forward. Okay. So there's a lot of joy to be shared through books and the reading of books. I was certainly inspired with my reading journey, despite some dyslexia difficulties, with books that were illustrated and beautiful and were fun. And I think putting the fun into reading is really, really important. Collected Nouns was what did it for me. A book with pictures of animals, and then it was a crash of rhinoceros and a murmuration of starlings. And these words really excited me. And I think young people are naturally excited by fun words, onomatopoeia, words that rhyme, and these are great ways in to inspire young people to want to open those books. It's the fun of that journey, and as long as we are keeping reading enjoyable and fun, we can add that to our ongoing reading programs. You will have embraced, I imagine, programs like guided reading, paired reading, perhaps ERIC, which is Everybody Reads in Class. And the impact that we are hoping for is that students will develop those literacy skills, which will help them to become confident readers, that will help them in their examinations and in their adult life, as well as creating that love of reading and helping them to read for pleasure. So the benefits of supporting young people with their reading seem very obvious, and it includes improvements in focus and concentration, development of emotional and social development, vocabulary building, word familiarity, an expansion into cultural involvement. So I know you know how important reading is, and that we transfer our enthusiasm to young people. At the moment, we have, without a doubt, we've had such a complex year. Teachers have worked really hard, and we've had a lot to overcome. And the reading gap, I think, is unfortunately growing and growing. And it's because we haven't necessarily had the consistent approaches to reading support that we have had in previous years. And I would be encouraging you now to think about your struggling readers, your dyslexic learners, and thinking about the quality of provision that they may be having, possibly at home, but also thinking of ways that you can improve your support in the classroom for the students who are in front of you too. So let's think about that reading success and what it looks like. Well, if the teacher's enjoying the session, I could probably guess that the students are going to be enjoying it too. Enthusiasm, your enthusiasm is so important, and we want those learners to be reading with confidence. And it looks like enjoyment, engagement, it looks like comprehension, so that when you're asking those questions, you're getting the responses that you might be hoping for, and some extra ones that will surprise you, we hope to. And you're looking for that fluency, which is the foundation of enrichment and successful learning. So what does that reading stress look like? I would suggest it looks like hidden disengagement, and that can be a student with a book in front of them mimicking reading and not actually engaging with the reading at all. And that's a way to quietly go under the radar. And this is where the learning gap will open, when you have a student who doesn't act out, but who quietly wants to be overlooked. So we have the hidden disengagement children. Then we have the ones who we know all about, which are the students who will tell us with their behaviour, because all behaviour is communication. And so challenging behaviour in reading activities may well be the first indicator of a learning difficulty or difference that you need to pay attention to, that may need support. Displacement activities can be all sorts of things. It can be toothache, headache, needing to go to the toilet, needing to escape reading time activities. Very important that you're aware of that too. All those avoidance behaviours are stress that is caused by engaging with that reading time. What can we do? Well, we need to think about our resources. We need to think about the support that we are providing. And if you know that you have got a bright young person who has been presented with books that perhaps they have been looking at for quite a long time, it is time to shift the reading scheme. And I strongly suggest that you look into high interest, low readability books. Now, these are, there's a range of publishers. I've got some of them down on the presentation here. Barrington Stoke was the first set of books that I bought as a Senko in one of my schools, and I was really delighted with those, not just because of the nice quality of the stories that was in them, but also because of the quality of the paper, which was low glare, which was quite supportive, and the feel of the books, which had, it just felt a little bit heavier and less reflective on the pages. It was really preferred by my learners who were struggling to read at slightly older age. And so these high interest, low readability books, I think, are something you need to be encouraging your teams to buy and provide in your school libraries. When you have your book rewards and you're thinking about your struggling readers, you might want to think about rewards of high-low readers for students, or making sure that these can go home with the students in their book bags and can be part of a reading list that you provide to parents. I'm going to mention the Treehouse books by Macmillan Publishers. I had a lovely experience just this week actually with a friend of mine. His son got onto our little Zoom meeting and said, "Wow, I'm really enjoying these books. They're fantastic. This is what I've been reading over Christmas." And the Treehouse books do what we know work really well for learners who are just developing their reading skills, and that is that it places graphic illustration in the body of the book and then text, so that you've got that image that you can refer to support your comprehension. Now, these books, there's a big series of the Treehouse books. They're fun, and as the learner progresses through the books, the illustrations become less and the text body becomes greater. So there's this graduated support into reading through this book set, which I think is wonderful. So that's one strategy. Number one is really get those wonderful books into students' hands. And the next strategy that I would suggest is dipping into your toolbox. So this toolbox, it is going to contain low-tech, mid-tech and high-tech strategies, some of them not so expensive. When you get to the high-tech strategies, you're going to be paying quite a lot more money for them. Some of these are quite easily affordable and can go home with students. So let's just have a look at what these techs are. Not one technology fits all. You may need to provide a variety of supports. Glasses is a bugbear, always a bugbear, isn't it? Because you have learners who you know should be wearing their glasses and don't. That is a real simple solution that we need to go into the classroom or be at home, those glasses reminders. But here are a few other things. If you're learning a particular new word, you might be interested in using the highlighter sticky tape, which can go over a keyword so that, and it's low tack, so you can pull it back off the book or the worksheet that you're working on. It's fab because it helps you to reference that word. That piece of learning that you've done for comprehension around that word is then supported. And then when you've come across that word in the text again, it looks familiar, you go back to the highlighted word. That just helps you to hold on to that memory of that word learning. Other things that are low tech are book holders. This one here that's blue, you put your thumb into it and that can just support you to hold the book so that you can use your finger or your thumb to follow the word that you are reading. And you'll see that I'm holding my thumb pointing downwards, and that is because you don't want to cover the word as you follow it along the page. You've got less chance of hiding it. You want to follow it across the top. It's a great strategy if you are sitting reading with somebody, be that the top thumb rather than the underneath thumb. And just while we're on rulers, there are a range of different coloured highlighter tools that can be used. There are also on the book there you'll see yellow, blue and red with a little monkey at the side. That is a slot tool that enables you to just see the important bit of text, the bit that you are reading, and follow it down the page. I've put a fiddle toy in here. Some students constantly fiddling and actually feel more focused when they have a fiddle. So that's a great low-tech strategy, as are reading rulers. Something I use very successfully in primary Peru where I was working was a levelled reading bookmark. So it had the level of the reader and then the I can statements for students written on there. So all of those aims that those students are working towards and improving their reading, you've got that on the bookmark there so that they can refer to that. So also there are sticker bookmark cards, really great. Who doesn't like a sticker? We all love a sticker. So make sure that you're getting those rewards in place, and that if students are reading at home, please send these bookmarks home and send the stickers home so that parents can also support that strategy. That is a really cheap solution to keep students who feel disengaged quickly on track with their reading. The next set of strategies I'm going to talk to you about often include audio support. So audiobooks, anywhere that simultaneous highlighting and listening happens. I'm ancient. I remember Wordy. We all got dragged into the big hall and somebody wheeled out the telly on a trolley, and we watched this robot thing that had words and pictures, and it highlighted the words and spoke them. I think this was the very early innovation of simultaneous highlighting and listening. And there is some fantastic research from the Audio Publishers Association that tells us that students who get engaged with this simultaneous seeing the word that's highlighted and then hearing it at the same time have an increase in motivation. Huge increase, 67% more increase in motivation, and that combining the print and the audio supports 40% more recall. So there are lots of good reasons to engage with this kind of technology, of which there are many. Let's have a look at some of them. They are all in the sort of mid-range technology strategy box. So I'm going to tell you about the first one, which is a kind of tacky film that you can place over the top of an iPad and use with existing apps. If you are someone who appreciates tactile support in learning, so perhaps you are still doing very early letter learning, you may want to trace over that tacky screen through the app, and it works with any app, on your pad, and that will give you a simultaneous highlight and a sound with some apps, and you have the physical feedback. Really great for younger learners. Audiobooks I've talked about. There are lots of these that you can find for free. For example, through Oxford Reading Owls, there are Google Books, and Audible also has lots that you can download that are free. And if you have a Kindle, of course, you will have some of that support of the simultaneous highlighting. Story another really great website to look at. So in the centre there, you'll see the scanning pen. This is a kind of a dragon magic support for reading, because it can be used with books and it can be used with worksheets at home that may have been provided as part of a learning pack. And we know that we want our students to be engaging with printed text, partly because if we're spending too much screen time, it's affecting our health. So there's another really great reason for us to be engaging with text. I think the American Heart Foundation suggests it was 2 hours of engaging with technology. It's really difficult in the current climate, but it's also a really good reason to encourage actual reading from physical text. So we have the reader pen, and what the reader pen will do is you place it onto the text, scan along the line, and it will highlight and then read back the word either through headphone, or it will do it through a speaker, or you can attach a speaker to the device. So this is another really excellent mid-tech support that will provide immediate reading support for learners. There's some lovely research that I'm going to share with you in a minute. The scanning pens are very helpful because they don't require Wi-Fi, they're distraction free, they have a battery, they contain a dictionary, so that if a learner hits a word that they don't have that comprehension for, they can then gain that knowledge very quickly by scanning over the word and finding the dictionary function. So not only is comprehension supported, you can immediately self-support by understanding that word without having to take recourse to a dictionary or Google a word. going back to the computers again. So there are some pretty sensational bits of research about what kind of improvements are being made for learners using the reader pen. The really great thing is that it is just take it out of the box, spend a bit of time getting to grips with it, and then you do that learning independently. So not a huge amount of support needed to learn how to use the device. Students who are reasonably tech savvy get on fairly quickly with it. And there's independent research now showing us that 13 months of reading accuracy progress has been made over an 8-week period. And with reading comprehension in that same 8-week period, the students who were involved in that study independently achieved 10 months of reading comprehension progress. So this is a wonderful piece of research that supports the progress that students are making with scanning pens. And I will just mention that there is a scanning pens booth that you can go to. I'm going to be there today, and there is a team of people there who, if you want to talk to them about the scanning pen, find out more about this technology, they will be there and can support you to provide information on that. I'm also going to be there at the scanning pens booth, and you can talk to me about reading support strategies and the toolbox approach today if you would like to. So just going back to our toolbox of strategies for reading, if you have recently been involved in schools, you will might know that there's a demonstrator schools program, and this has provided a lot of schools with the support for platforms. And the platforms are the big boys. They are the Google, the Microsoft, the Office 365, that come with a huge range of accessibility tools built in. And you may not know, even though you have been using perhaps Office 365, that there are some support tools that are available if you go to View. If you go to View in that toolbar, it enables you to click into a range of tools that will do very similar things to some of our low-tech supports, like, for example, changing the colour of the text by bringing a colour background. So we can achieve that low tech by printing onto a different colour sheet of paper, but on the computer we can just change the background colour that supports the student and make that as a permanent feature, that you've always got that colour there. You can choose a reading line, again, just to isolate the text that you are interested in. You can achieve some simultaneous highlighting and speech to text within these programs. So read and write is, if you are interested in picking up on these particular technologies, this is something very helpful for you to look at for your students. Crick software produces clicker books, and if you have a student who's disengaged, it is possible to make up books for students in Clicker. So if you know that somebody has got a passion for, I don't know, motorbikes, dogs, whatever is their thing that you know is the hook that's going to help them engage in reading, you can actually set up some reading programs within Clicker and make up some books, and you can insert PDFs, you can insert photographs. It's really fantastic if you are somebody working within the field of SEN looking to personalise a learning opportunity for a student. I think it's really critical that we do this, because engagement depends on our knowledge of young people and what is going to spark their imagination. So Crick is great. I've talked about the read and write toolbar. I think the thing about all of these things is that they take an amount of training for the teacher, for the parent, for the student to be able to use them. So that's when we're thinking about our toolbox approach of strategies, these are the high-tech strategies that you would be using with your students. So as far as the toolbox is concerned, I would suggest to you that the reading engagement that you are looking for, you may find by dipping into this toolbox of supports. One size doesn't fit all. There is no point in dishing out a bunch of coloured reading overlays across a class. There needs to be time spent with the student thinking about the supports that you can provide, and then once you've used that support, going back and reviewing. This is our SEN good practice that we do and review, and we make sure that the assessment is in place and that we revisit and make sure that the tool that you are providing to close that reading gap is still appropriate 2 months later, 3 months later, 4 months later. We must be in a process of review. So I'm going to talk briefly about the Literacy Passport, which is a document that I have written, and what it will do for you is help to give you some confidence in seeing the learning difficulties that might be in front of you, or confirming your concerns as a teacher in a classroom and giving you a pathway forward through identification and assessment into writing an IEP. So the Literacy Passport is available as a free download. I have got it in the Scanning Pens booth, so that if you pop there, you can just get the link to download your free copy of this document. Let's talk about some of the pages in here that I think that you will find helpful. So those students with dyslexia that may not have yet had a diagnosis, it's just a suspicion, it's an undiagnosed difficulty. Initially, you will think they are a learner with weak reading and weak literacy skills. You take the toolbox approach and you start to record what you are doing. You look at how the student is responding and you record this information over time. It all starts with looking at the reading difficulties that you are seeing in your classroom. And you may well want to use the checklist. It's I think 8.3 on the diagram in front of me there, that just gives you the highlights of what you are looking for. So are you finding that there is weak comprehension? Are you finding that learning is forgotten? Are there memory issues? Are you finding that there is displacement activities when you get to reading time? So using this passport, you can check over time and support these students by recording what you are seeing in front of you. That evidence is really crucial. It's crucial for you because it might actually have an impact on the funding that you will receive for those students to buy the technology and the learning supports that you know that they would benefit from. If you can evidence those learning challenges, that's really important. It's the gold standard, because you can then go to your SENCO, and your SENCO can take that evidence to the person who holds the purse strings, and you can say, right, this is where we need to draw down the money to improve our toolbox of resources for reading support. I'm just going to take us into some closing thoughts now, and they are that the Drop Everything and Read for Dyslexia Learning Festival is going to be coming up very soon. Please save the date. It is Monday the 29th of March. You will be able to go through to Succeed with Dyslexia website and sign up for this event. There are 2 events going on. There's one in the UK on the 29th of March. There is one in the US on the 30th of March. Both events are free to attend, and you will be able to listen to authors, speakers, people who will give you motivational ideas about how to close the reading gap, about how young people can succeed with dyslexia. There will be stories from the students themselves, young people who are struggling with dyslexia, who can tell you about what supports have been really valuable for them in their learning journeys. There's also, as part of the Succeed with Dyslexia campaign, Dear for Dyslexia Learning Festival, lots of resources that you will be able to download and use either in the classroom or at home. So this is a free resources event for you to attend, and I would really love it if you could get involved with all the activities in school or at home for World Book Day, for all of the reading activities that are going to be happening across the spring term, and highlight to your teams, to your parents, that closing the reading gap starts with a huge amount of enthusiasm for reading, for learning, with the joy of getting involved with books. So I'm getting to the end of my presentation now. I've got a chat box there. I'm more than happy for us to answer questions. If I don't have time to do that, I would suggest that you visit me in the Scanning Pens booth and I can continue the conversation with you there. I've got a question I can see from Matthew that says, which supplier sells the Monkey reading rules? You can get so much from Amazon. Really, it's wonderful. If you put in reading supports in Amazon, you will find so many there. And Consortium magazine for schools is really helpful, full of lots of supports too. But do come and chat with me. I would be really happy to talk about the Dear for Dyslexia resources. If you Google it, you will find the previous Succeed with Dyslexia campaign that ran in October, where you'll find existing resources. There's already a huge amount of information within the previous campaign, but we'd love you to sign up for this next one. That would be fabulous.